Okay, so let us continue our fun time with statistics. Okay, so we've got our objective today is find the mean of the data set and use the mean of a data set to solve problems. Now we have found the mean, the median, and the mode in some of our do nows. So this should not be completely new to you. Okay, the mean of a data set is one of the measures of central tendency. The measure of central tendency is a measure that attempts to summarize the data set with a single number. So it takes lots of numbers and tries to summarize it with just one. To find the mean of a set of items, first, find the sum of all the items in the set. Then divide the sum by the number of items. Okay, so adding up all the items, then divide by how many items there were in the set. So for example, the table shows Dylan's scores for 3 mathematic tests. He got a 65, a 74, and an 80. One way to describe the set of test scores is to find the average or the mean of the 3 test scores. Mean score for the 3 tests. Total score for the 3 tests, so we're going to add up the 3 tests, divide it by 3. So there you go, 65 plus 74 plus 80 equals 219. We're going to divide that by 3 and we find an average or the mean, which is 73. So Dylan's mean score for the 3 tests is 73. Another word for mean is average. Find the mean of the data set using a dot plot. Okay, so we made dot plots before. In this case, we've got the lengths of songs. So we have songs that are 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and 5 minutes. And each dot on there represents one song. Okay, so you have one song that's 2 minutes, 2 songs that are 3 minutes, 2 songs that are 4 minutes, and 1 song that is 5 minutes. It says there are six songs on an album, so apparently all these songs are on the same album. The dot plot shows the length of each song in minutes. Each dot represents a song, and to find the mean, first calculate the total length of the songs. Then divide the total length of the songs by the number of songs. Okay, I'm going to do that on this page right here because I do not like when they switch over to another page and they you can't see the data. Okay, so this is what I would do. 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4 plus 5. Okay, so I would add all that up. We've got 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 3 more is 8, and then we have 4 and 4 is 8, so we have 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 5, that's 21. And there were 6 songs, so then I have 21 divided by 6, right? We can do it like this. 6 can go into 21 3 times, that's 18. Okay, if we stopped there, we would have a remainder. We don't want a remainder. Right? So we are going to we're going to bring our invisible decimal forth because we need to add zeros. Okay? And we're going to bring that 0 down, and 6 can go into 35 times. Okay? And now we have no remainder, so we are done. So the average length of the song is 3.5 on the album is 3.5 minutes. Now, we could kind of actually figure that out by just looking at this because look, we've got 1, 2, 2, and 1. So if we just went right down the middle there, we've got 3 on this side, 3 on this side, right in the middle, right? That's going to be your average, 3.5. I'm just saying there's other ways to look at this, okay, if you're paying attention. All right, let's go to the next slide. And let's erase this, and let's see how they do this, okay? So we've got, there they are, they've got their 2, their 6, their 8, their 5, they total them up. It's 21 divided by 6, 3.5. The mean length of 6 songs is 3.5 minutes. Sophie recorded the widths of 6 books and found the mean to be 11.2 centimeters. She lost 1 book. And I'm just gonna say, I hope that wasn't a library book. The widths of the remaining 5 books are 2, and it shows you here. I don't need to go through those, right? Okay, so we are going to kind of work in reverse. So when you're finding the average, right, or the mean, right? The mean, oh, I don't like that. Okay, we do the items, we sum the items, right? And then we're going to divide it by the items that I just summed, okay? So we don't have all the items, right? We have a 6 here. We don't know the sum of all the items because we lost it, but we do know what the mean is, okay? So right now this is kind of like our X. We don't really know, okay? So what we're actually going to do is we're going to do kind of the opposite. So we're going to take our mean, which is 11.2, and we're going to multiply it by 6, right? Because that's how many items there were that got us this mean. So we're going to do in reverse. Instead of dividing by 6, we're going to multiply by 6. And if I do that, I get 12, 7, and 6. So the length of all the centimeters, the widths of all my books is 67.2. Okay, so now what I would do is I would then add up the books that I still have. Okay, so I've got 2.3 plus 6.5 plus 8.8 plus 12.4 and plus 16. I would total all those up and I would get 46. Okay, so 46 is the total of this here. All right, so I would then take the total length of all my books that I should have, had I not been careless and lost one. I'm just kidding, I've lost books before. And then we're going to subtract and find that difference because that's going to give us the length of the missing book. So we've got 2, 1, and 2. So it looks like our missing book is 21.2 centimeters. Okay, let's see if so find the width of the missing book, and like I said, that is 21.2 centimeters. Okay, and that is it. So you saw how to find the mean and then also how to go from knowing the mean to finding a missing item. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next slide. We're done with this one, so we are going to get rid of this one. Okay, next thing, finding the median. So I can find the median of a data set. I can use the median of a data set to solve problems. I love solving problems, right? Okay, so the median of a data set is another measure of central tendency. The median is the middle value of the set of data. So remember, measure of central tendency is taking a whole data set and trying to narrow it down to one number that can represent that set. Okay, there are 2 ways to find median depending on whether the data set has an odd or even value number. Okay, find the median of a data set. So Julia drew 3 number cards from a box. She wanted to find the middle value or median of these numbers. First, she arranged the numbers from least to greatest. You could also go greatest to least, but they do have to be in order of value. She identified the middle value of 12, so 12 is the median of that particular set of data, okay, or is the median of those cards that she drew. When a data set has an odd number of values, identify the middle value or median by inspecting the numbers, and they're telling you here that are less than the median equals the number of values greater than the median. Okay, so we had 1 that was less and 1 that was greater, so we knew that was right in the middle. That's basically what they're saying right there. Okay, so then she draws another card. She draws a 19. She puts it in order, okay? So remember that they must be in order. They're just reminding you it's important. You cannot find the median of a data set without putting them in order. You can find the mean that way, but not the median. The median, they must be in order from either least to greatest or greatest to least. So in this, they found the 2 middle numbers. The 2 middle numbers were 12 and 16. And you're just going to find the average of those numbers. So they added them together, divided by 2, because there were 2 numbers you added together, and they got 14. Okay? Now, you could probably figure that out on your own, right? This is counting by 2s. Oh, what's the number that was in the middle? Okay? Let's go on. Whoops, I went too far. Okay. When a data set has an even number of values, identify the 2 middle numbers. The median is the mean of the 2 middle values. So you find the average of those 2 middle numbers. Okay, find the median of a data set using a dot plot. All right, I like this method, and I'll show you why, because I don't have to write down any extra numbers. The dot plot shows the number of children in 7 families living in an apartment complex. Each dot represents 1 family. To find the median, identify the middle value. Okay. Let's see if it does it. Maybe it will. Let's see. 7 families. The 4th family is the middle family. And there are 3 families to the left, 3 families to the right. Okay. So let me show you what I do in this. I mean, sure, you could do it in your head, but I like to just be sure. So I cross off 1 here and 1 over here. And now I'm both even. I've got 2 on both sides. And then I've crossed 3, and so that I'm left with this one here. Okay, so 2 is the median number of this set. Okay, so let's go on. So what they're saying is that the 4th, so we have 3 families on this side, 3 families on this side, so there's the middle number. Okay. All right, count to the 4th dot from the left on the dot plot. Okay, so the median number is 2. That's how I do it, by crossing out. I just find it to be more methodical than just kind of thinking of it in my head. Okay, so here's a median. This is time in hours. Okay, the dot plot shows the number of hours that 8 children spend on exercise every week. Each dot represents 1 child. Find the median, identify the 2 middle values. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to cross off. I like to use my pen. Okay, so I'm going to cross it off, and I'm going to cross 1. And they're still even. Cross 1, cross 1. See, now I can't cross. I've got 2 left here, right? All right, so I've got 3 on this side, and then I have 3 on this side. So I've got a 2 and a 3. So now I need to find the average of those 2. 2 and 3 is 5, and there were 2 numbers here, so I need to divide that by 2, which gives me 3.5. So that's telling me that the average time spent exercising for those 8 children is 3.5 hours per week. And you could even get more detailed and, you know, are they exercising 7 days a week? Is that for 5 days a week? And you could find out exactly how much they were exercising each day. That's why math is so fun. Okay, asking all kinds of questions. All right, so next part here, let's look and see what we've got. All right, so we divided into 2 equal groups. There are 4 children in the upper half, 4 children in the lower half. And you could see that. You could draw a line right here between the 2, right? 4 here and 4 here. So 1 from each side. Okay, the 4th child spends 2 hours. The 5th child spends 3 hours on exercise every week. Then find the mean. We did that. Okay. Where did I get 2? Wow, Miss Brock needs to take a break. 2.5 hours. Maybe it's 3.5 on the next slide. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Okay, let's go ahead and delete this. Compare the mean and median of the data set. This is where we're at. Okay, so I want to get down here a little bit. So this is the number of, Mrs. Evan conducts a survey to find out the number of hours that her students spend at the library in 2 weeks. So how much time do they spend in the library in the course of 2 weeks? Okay, so we see here we've got 2 students that are spending 1 hour. You've got 4 that are spending 2 hours, 1 that is spending 3 hours, and this one over here who has spent 15 hours. Very diligent student, okay? Or maybe they work there, just kidding. Okay, so let's keep looking what information they give. Each dot represents 1 student. Okay, so what I would do here it wants us to compare, so we want to compare the mean and the median. So first, let's find the mean, okay? Now, the mean, we have to add all the numbers together. And I just want to point out that this number over here is an extreme outlier, right? It's way away from the rest of the data. So very much going to affect our mean, and you'll see that once we do this. Okay, so I'm going to write down all the numbers. So we have 1 plus 1 plus, then we're going to have 4 2s and 1 3, and then this weird 15. Okay, so let's add these together. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13, plus 15. 13 plus 15, that's going to give me 28. Okay, so a total of 28 hours spent in the library over the course of 2 weeks. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers, so 28 divided by 8. Okay, so let's do that over here. 28 divided by 8, and this is where Ms. Brock was thinking of this number before. Okay, this can go in 3 times, which is 24, with 4 left over. And then we need to add, because we don't want a remainder, we're going to add a 0, bring it down. 8 can go into 45 times. There's my 3.5 there. See, I'm not completely crazy. Okay, so 3.5. So the average, the mean or average is 3.5, which would be right here, right? So that's our mean. Okay, let's now find our median. Okay, our median, let's go ahead and cross off. So we've got 1 here, 1 there. We're going to cross this one here and this one on this side. Then we're going to kind of do top and bottom. And then we're left with these 2. And because they're both in the same one, we know that the median is 2. Okay? So we've got one that's 3.5 and the other one that's 2. That's quite a difference in hours spent, right? This is an hour and a half more spent over the course of 2 weeks. So let's go and see. Find the median, the mean. So we did that. Okay. Let's go ahead and we're going to erase this. So it says the data set has an outlier of 15, which I pointed out. This value makes the mean much greater than a typical value in this data set, right? Because if we include that 15, that really changes our average, really, because it raises up our sum quite a bit more than it would have been. Okay, so then we did that, all 8 students, 4th and 5th students are in the middle. It's 2 hours, so the median was 2. Okay, which one of the 2 measures of central tendency, the mean or the median, describe this data better? Okay, so remember the mean was right here. The median was right here, right? Here's our median, here's our mean. Okay, which one describes the data set better? Well, as we pointed out, this is an outlier way out here. We would kind of exclude that from our data. And so that leaves us really with this part over here. Okay, and if you're just looking at this part over here, 2 clearly is where the majority of the data lies, right? 4 out of the, what was it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 out of the 8 are right there. So half the data is lying on 2. So I would say that the median definitely describes this data set better than the mean does, because the mean is like removed from the majority of the data, right? It falls outside of that data. All right, let's see what they have to say. Okay, so the mean is 3.5. However, only 1 student visited the library for more than 3.5 hours during the 2 weeks, right? And they visited way more than even 3.5 hours. Okay, so the mean does not describe the data set well. The median of 2 hours, it describes the data set better since most of the data values cluster around the 2 hours. Okay, so Like I said, 2 describes the median described that data set much better than the mean did of the data set because of this 15, which affected the average quite a bit. Okay? All right, that's it for mean. Let's go ahead and we're going to discard this and we're going to go to the mode. So to find the mode of a data set, that's one of our objectives, and then I can use mode of a data set to solve problems. Okay, let's see. The mode of a data set is the value or item that appears most frequently in a set of data. Okay, it is the third measure of central tendency. Remember, measure of central tendency is we are trying to find one number to represent the data set. Michael tossed a number cube several times. He recorded the results in the table below. I always think it's weird they call it a number cube instead of a dice. I don't know, a die, whatever they want to. Here's the numbers that were tossed, so 1 through 6, and then here's how often that happened. Okay, so if you just look at the frequency, you can see that 5 was rolled 3 times. Okay, notice that the number 5 was tossed the most frequently, so the number 5 is the mode of the data set. So let's go on to the next slide. So now they've created a dot plot that represents this table. As you can see, here are the numbers that are on the dice, and here's the times. So each dot represents one roll of those dice. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It looks like they rolled the dice 11 times. Okay. You can draw a dot plot to show that the number 5 is the mode of the set of data, because you can see, especially when you do it in a dot plot here, that there are more dots here than on anywhere else on the line. Let's see. So the number 5 is the mode of the data set. A set of data can have more than one mode. Okay. If all the sets in the number data appear the same number of times, there is no mode. So let's say by some freak, weird, I don't know what you'd call that, supernatural event. All right. You would, what if all of these were 2s? Okay. 2, 2. So you rolled each one 2 times. Now that would be cool, but it would create a situation where you have no mode, right? Because they all have 2, so they're all equal in how many times that number appeared in the data set. Okay. A farmer was placing chickens, ducks, and geese in a feeding pen. He recorded the types of birds as chicken, or C, D, or G as they went into the pen. These are the data he recorded. So here's his little sheet as they went into the pen. I didn't know you could organize duck and geese and chickens that well. I didn't know that they would just file in. But, you know, maybe they're trained. Okay, so this data set is not numeric. So you cannot find the mean or the median. So there's no numbers that I can add together and then find an average for, right? And there are, I can't like cross out and find like in between a data set what the average, you know, because you can't, there's no average between a chicken and a duck, right? You could call it a chuck, I guess. I don't know. All right, so let's go. So what you would do is you're going to first organize the data. So you, just like we did before, I would cross out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so there's 15 chickens, and then I would do that for all of them, and then I would create my bar graph. And by creating the bar graph, you could just count up the numbers and you could see them. You wouldn't need to do the bar graph, right? But the bar graph's pretty, it looks nice. So as you can see here, chicken is the mode of this set, right? Chicken is the bird that showed up most often in the feeding pen, okay? So notice that the bar graph represents the number of chickens as the greatest height. So the number of chickens is the greatest and the mode. So chickens is the mode. And that is it. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you finish your assignment and turn it in. School's almost done. Bye.